Welcome everybody to Weekly Quantum World Detangled. This is Season 4, Episode 5. And I am joined by my sponsors INQ and friend Denise Ruffner.
Hi everyone, Denise Ruffner coming to you from Southern California. Nice sunny summer. I have furniture in my house, which is a huge accomplishment. And I'm really looking forward to today's conversation, and I think you're going to really enjoy it. So let me introduce you to our guest, Sergio Gago, and let Sergio introduce himself.
Hi everyone, thank you very much Denise and André for having me here. My name is Sergio. I'm talking about sunny places. I'm connecting from Barcelona, and here to talk with you about quantum and Capitan Quantum and anything that you guys want to ask me about.
Beautiful Barcelona. Pleasure to see you again, Sergio. Let's get to know you a little bit. You live in Spain, you are from Spain, but you've lived in 7 countries total, I believe.
That's right. I lost the count, but I lived in San Francisco, working on the classical software side in the Dorado for us Europeans in Silicon Valley. I worked in Australia, in China, in Malaysia, many places. Usually as CTO or classical CTO, until I found my way in the quantum world, and I decided to really switch gears and move into something that's really been a revolution.
And before you found your ways into quantum, you make that very bold founder entrepreneur claim on your LinkedIn. You started 5 companies before 25. 2 were successful, 1 is still underway. I take it 2 of them were a learning experience, but tell us a little bit about that early start into entrepreneurship.
So I should probably update that because I'm not 25 anymore, unfortunately. But it all started when I was 17, and I built my first consulting company. And it's important I say consulting because it's exactly what I'm getting away from. And that company started as a software development company. I thought I would know things, but of course I didn't know anything about live business or anything. But I was lucky enough to be surrounded by really smart people. And what we had was what later was called an accelerator or an incubator. And we started building projects in there. So we branched out some of those projects, and then we were lucky enough to sell some of those. One was in the classified industry, another one was in the travel industry, another one was in the services industry. And then, of course, we had other trials that we branched out and got funding, raised money, your typical startup roller coaster. One of them was a kind of LinkedIn competitor, and yes, some time ago we thought that would have been a good idea, but it clearly didn't pick up. And then the last one was a company in AI, in the AI world and adverse media, that we actually exited early last year.
And the dream of every seasoned entrepreneur and founder is to eventually become an investor. Certainly what I'm doing. And you have followed that route as well. Tell us a little bit about that if you don't mind. Angel investments, your own personal small tickets, what have you invested in? What's your thesis and philosophy behind that?
Yeah, so at the end of the day, what happens is that you end up meeting many people, and both investors, other founders, other engineers, other business people, and it kind of finds you. It's not that you are actively looking to invest, or at least in my case, is that, well, you have a good opportunity of someone who's really smart and has a really good idea, and then in a very shy way, you look at it and you say, well, I have some spare money, so why not invest and help you out with this? And maybe at the same time, I can help you with some advisorship. I don't have the answer for everything, but I do know what doesn't work. So maybe that can increase your success chances by 0.001%. And that leads to another opportunity, and then to another opportunity. So in the moment you realize, you start having deal flow, and you start having lots of people who are contacting you, and then it starts getting crazy. So you need to put a bit of process into that and think, what is my expertise? What type of companies or industries I can add more value? And I try to leverage my experience as a CTO and leading technical teams and multicultural teams on those companies that are mainly technology, digital first companies. So mixing those two things, I can go to the entrepreneurs, the founders, and say, I'm not going to help you just with money, with capital. Everyone can, not everyone, but many people can give you money, but also with some lessons learned, and follow with that. And then I follow a very unstructured approach. I need to have good relationship with the founders, or at least be people that I can go with beers for, and enjoy a good time, and people who's really passionate about what they do, and then a type of business that, or a type of company that's going to change one industry, one sector, one segment, or the world in one way or another. So we've been doing investments in prop tech lately. That's kind of in fashion now. Also in education and in technical recruitment. I guess I'm biased because I've been hiring lots of engineers over the years, and it has been always a pain. So we've put a small ticket in one company that's trying to revolutionize the world of hiring from a classical perspective, though.
And Barcelona is on the beautiful Mediterranean Sea. I'm overlooking the gorgeous Atlantic Ocean. Quoting from you, you are an ocean lover and protector, just like myself. What do you love and protect about the ocean?
Well, as a matter of fact, when I did one of my last exits about 10 years ago, I wanted to take a sabbatical and say, maybe I need a rest. So I became a scuba dive instructor, and I started traveling the world and teaching people how to go underwater. It's not a super well paid job, but it's definitely one that's completely opposite to leading technical teams and managing people. Now, as it happens, while I was doing that, I founded another of my companies. It's kind of, you cannot avoid your destiny type of thing, but really being in the ocean, being in the water, and seeing a manta ray passing through you and being next to you, looking at you, that really makes you feel small and understand the important things in life.
And while you're underwater, I try to stay above the water on a small little sailboat, but there's nothing like seeing a sunrise out of sight of land. Sticking with the ocean theme, you have a newsletter called Quantum Pirates. I rarely recommend other newsletters because everybody has to read my newsletter, quantumcomputing.substack.com. Sign up if you haven't. But I highly recommend Quantum Pirates. I read it every week. Where do people find it?
At quantumpirates.substack.com.
Substack is the platform to be. Let's find out more about your quantum journey and how you're making more money in quantum, hopefully, than as a dive instructor. Denise?
Well, first of all, I want to say, you two aren't the only beach people. I grew up on the beach, and I like surfing or body surfing, so there. And my husband's a huge scuba diver, so we have a lot in common, and we've traveled the world where he's gone diving, so we need to talk about that, Sergio.
Absolutely.
But aside from the beach, which is a really lovely topic, I'm really interested in this company you've formed called Capitan Quantum, and I'm wondering if you'll tell the audience about it. It's a relatively new company, so I think everybody would love to hear about it.
Sure. So when I came into the quantum world, I was trying to figure out what my place was. I'm not a researcher. I'm not a PhD. I'm just a normal engineer who went into business. And that gave me one specialty and one specialty only, which was know how to get surrounded by smart people and figure out how to mix people and needs from different angles. In the technical world, that was between engineering and business, and in the quantum world, is between engineering, business, and academia or research. So I was very clear that I wanted to start a career in quantum computing. That was for me the opportunity to be in something that I was born too late for the computing revolution. probably too early for the space exploration, but right on time for quantum. And where I could pitch in the most in the industry, there's in quantum computing there's like two types of things you could be doing in general, right? You can either be building hardware and spend good money on that, and lots of neurons, lots of really smart people doing that from different angles, or you can build algorithms, ideally with some knowledge of the domain you're working on, and with the computers that we have today. That's more or less the vast majority of what we're doing as an industry in this world. But following suit on what happened with AI, there's really a next step on productization and delivery and distribution of these solutions. At this point, we're clear that quantum is going to happen, and then of course 5, 10, 15 years, 20 years, that doesn't matter too much to me. What matters is that it will happen, and there's going to be certain type of problems in the world that will change how we think about them forever. And it may be the algorithms that we have today. It may not be the algorithms we have today. Actually, probably it will not be the ones we have today. So what we're trying to do is really looking at the industry from the end customer, the one who will be using this in 40 or 30 years from now. And this, in the same way they use a fully commoditized NLP engine, a fully commoditized translation engine, a text-to-speech engine that you use today on any website you visit from the AI perspective. So Capitan Quantum, we say, is a quantum company, but we're really a classical company. We're a software company. We're putting together a platform where any developer can put the algorithms inside, and we can distribute them in a super easy way through APIs. So we say we are the very first quantum API marketplace, where you have one very specific problem, one of this kind that quantum computers can fix, and then there's dozens of potential solvers today that are going to be solving that problem. And then our promise is that we give you the best of breed solution that is happening at the moment. Of course, today in our NISQ era computers, the problems we can solve with quantum computers are small, because we have noisy, small devices. But we grow every day as this happens. And then on the other side, there's hundreds of consulting companies in quantum at the moment. Of course, it's a tiny number, right, if you compare with any other industry, but it is growing almost exponentially. And most of these companies are funded by physicists, researchers, people who's incredibly smart and whose goal is to increase the knowledge of the world as humans. That is fantastic, but how do we put that into production? How do we reproduce the success of this algorithm, of this Python script, of this a new way of solving this problem in a way that you can replicate client after client after client? So I mentioned that one of my first company was a consulting company, and that's exactly what I don't want to do, because I want to build something that replicates over time. What I'm giving the consulting companies in quantum is a platform so you can distribute your product without having to hire data scientists, system administrators, DevOps, all these kind of people that are at the end of the day building a platform that's a commodity. So once you have these two sides of the marketplace, what we have is really a platform as a service for delivering quantum algorithms over quantum agnostic hardware, in a nutshell.
Which is really great, and I think André will check me on this, but I think this is the first of kind of an API company. Am I right, André? I always go to André for my competitive intelligence.
We'll have to check the data, but pretty much sure it's the first, yeah.
So I like the idea. I also like that you're part of the Spanish ecosystem, which is something that we haven't explored that much on Weekly Quantum World Detangled. Are you currently working with other quantum companies in the Spanish ecosystem, or what phase are you in your company?
Absolutely. So we are now still in stealth mode, and that's the reason many people would have not heard of us. And this is one of the very first times that we are opening up to the world. We're still in the early stages of development, with just a few clients using our beta version of the platform. So it's still really on the first stages of the company. But say that the Spanish ecosystem is fantastic. Is really blowing up as we speak. mainly from the research side. So we have several research centers, institutes in Spain that are leading the pack in some of the things they do. The ICFO in Barcelona, specifically the CREA Lab, all these places are really the perfect training ground for the many quantum engineers we're going to be needing in the coming decades. So I think the angle of Spain is going to be really on training really smart people, and then, as we have been doing in the past, unfortunately, exporting them to the world. Say that we also have quite a few companies, a handful of companies, I would say, that are working in pretty much all the angles of the quantum world, so from sensing to metrology, communications. Thanks to the ICFO in communications, we have quite a big hub in here, specifically in Barcelona. So we're trying to do as many things as we can together, work alongside with other European initiatives as well, and really playing together. It's an industry in the early stages. We're not that many. We're still trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. So playing and dancing together is the right approach.
And you forgot to mention two of my favorite companies, Multiverse and also Kilimanjaro, who I was on a panel with, and I was really impressed by the comments they made. So thank you for that. One of my questions is, how much funding, where are you getting your funding for your company? Is there a lot of funding in Spain, kind of as a national initiative for quantum?
There's not a national initiative as the ones we see in other countries. Unfortunately, we have to rely on the quantum flagship from the European Union and the Horizon programs that the EU has, on top of the usual funding that we have for standard deep tech type of technologies. Now, Spain at the same time is not super keen on deep long horizon investment programs. Maybe we're a bit more conservative than the US in that sense. So it adds one bit of complexity to the funding elements of companies in this industry. And on top of that, you need people who understands or wants to understand the quantum industry, which is not necessarily easy. On our side, we did a pre-seed, so we are working still on these first stages. We are lining up a Series A round for Q1. So if everything goes all right, that will be on the news in that sense. I'm typically the one who likes more self-funded companies or bootstrap as much as possible. So our team is really bootstrapping with our own funds and little friends and fools type of round. Because at the same time, we don't need lots of researchers or PhDs developing new things. We are a classical platform that has a very clear purpose and a very clear problem to solve. So we're following more the economics of platform type of companies, and really trying to be friends with everyone. So we don't need to capitalize ourselves too much. We don't need to raise huge funding rounds and get into really big valuations. That's actually one of the very interesting things that I see in this industry. There is not so many former entrepreneurs in the field. And so when some companies get into huge funding rounds or pre-money valuations that sometimes seem a bit crazy, in some cases they don't realize what the impact will be in their companies maybe in 3, 4, 5 years from now. So that getting together not just the business side of things, but also the funding and the VC side of things on what are the impacts of each kind of funding that you could have and how that is going to impact you. In short, sometimes a startup says, hey, this fantastic celebration time, I raised $1 million. I don't think raising $1 million is a reason to celebrate. Especially if you could bootstrap your company, why would you raise money?
All very good points. I agree with you. I love it. It's very different than the traditional, I have to go to venture capital, so I like it. Now, I know that we are a little bit on a time crunch, so I'm going to hand you over to André to ask his famous Marcel Proust questionnaire. So, André.
Oh my God.
Six questions, Sergio. Rapid fire questions. I want rapid fire answers. One word,
Let's
one
go.
sentence. Otherwise, you'll get the cut off. So if you're ready, the Marcel Proust James Lipton Quantum Questionnaire. Sergio, who's your favorite entrepreneur?
Elon Musk.
Yeah, we've had him too many times on the show. Pick somebody else.
Antonio Gonzalez. It's a Spanish guy. Probably you don't know him.
What did he do?
He built what's considered one of the first incubators, accelerators in Spain.
What is the quality that you desire most in an entrepreneur?
Grit.
Grit. What do you appreciate most about working in quantum tech?
Uncertainty.
Uncertainty.
Hey, did you see what I did there?
That's very smart. You need grit to sit out the uncertainty. What is your favorite quantum tech application?
Wow, this is a really tough one. Finance.
Quantum computing for finance?
Quantum computing for finance.
Okay. We like to make money. What is, assuming you have the grit to sit it out, your quantum dream and your quantum nightmare?
The nightmare is that somehow, at some point, someone comes with a mathematical proof that this is not going to happen. That there is some kind of natural limit that no one has seen yet that says, that's it, we cannot go beyond 1,000 qubits. Or we cannot do the... so that's my nightmare. I think there's little chances for that. My dream is that scientists are wrong and that we are closer than what we think to quantum real practical advantage.
Hoping that we are closer. Imagine you wake up tomorrow and you have a universal quantum computer, fully fault tolerant, sitting in your living room. Who would you give it to? It's the only one in the world. Nobody. You keep it?
I would hide until we're ready to handle that power. Not keep it to me. Keep it somewhere safe so no one can really touch it.
Spoken like a true quantum pirate, keeping the treasure, but like a Robin Hood, hopefully distributing it later on. Sergio, we share a lot in common. Bootstrap your startups, solve problems today, protect and love the ocean, get kicked out of the Euro Cup in an early stage if you're into football. It was a pleasure to welcome you all the way from Barcelona. We look forward to speaking with you again soon. This concludes Weekly Quantum World Detangled, Season 4, Episode 5, and you are now detangled.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sergio.